Let's talk about measuring energy. As I mentioned, energy is hard to define and measure, but we define energy as the ability to perform work. The energy has units, right? So when we say 2000 kilocalorie, that calorie is a unit for measurements. We need measurement units for all other systems, like we have the International System of Units, or called SI units, International System, which is like regarding the energy, the unit is joule. We have also calorie, which is another unit of energy measurement. So we have joule and calorie for energy. These are the units. From this table, I would like you to memorize the first one. Uh, 1 calorie equals to 4.184 joules, or approximately we say 4.2 joules, 1 calorie. Remember, this is calorie, not kilocalorie, so it's a very tiny amount. 1 calorie equals 4.2 joules. And 1 kilocalorie, it's 1000 calories. So on and so forth. Remember here, when the calorie is a lowercase c, it's the tiny amount, right? It's just 4.2 joules. But when it is written as the uppercase C, 1 calorie here, it means 1000 calories. You should know this also. And just like the calorie, the kilojoules is 1000 joules. Like this system, the unit for energy, we use this a lot. Like for the weight, we have pounds or kilograms. For the length, we have feet, inches, meter, centimeter. So, like for example, for the meter or for kilogram, those are SI units, the International System of Units. But the pounds and inches, feet, these are other types of units that are commonly used in the US. So I want you to remember the first one. 1 calorie is 4.184 joules or 4.2. And we can also define the joule. It is the work done by a force of 1 Newton acting to move an object 1 meter or 1 Newton meter. So this is a definition of joule. And as I said, this is the SI unit for energy measurement or the international system. And it is named for British physicist James Prescott Joule. So the definition of joule is the work. Why is this work? As we said, energy is the ability to perform work. So the joule is the work done by force of 1 Newton. And the definition of mechanical energy is also joule, right? In the physics in high school, we learned about joule in the definition of mechanical energy. On the other hand, we have calorie. Here also note that this C is uppercase, and that's why it's kilocalorie. And it's like a thermal energy. So most of the time, joule is used for the mechanical energy, but calorie is used for thermal energy. It is the also joule is used for the energy in food, um, but in other countries, but in the US we use calorie for thermal energy and for the food and like nutrition, exercise. And here's the definition of calorie. We define calorie, I guess, like like this definition from your other courses. It's the heat, the amount of heat, because the calorie is a thermal energy. So it is the heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by one Celsius degree or 1 degree Celsius. So this is the definition of calorie, but please note, keep it in mind that this amount of calories is very tiny. That's why we use kilocalorie or the calorie with uppercase, which is the 1000 calorie. And the definition for the kilocalorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degrees Celsius. And here is the nutrition facts label. We often see these on the different food products. This is called the nutrition facts label. We talked about this in the previous session. So, for example, here calories 230. So, this is 230,000 calories, like the lowercase calorie. But here it is uppercase calorie. So this is 230, this one, the uppercase calorie. So here, this is the nutrition facts table in the US, which is calorie. Here on the right side, we have nutritional information. I suppose this is in Australia or another country. This is also on the food product. This is a nutrition fact label on the food product. And instead of stating the energy as kilocalorie, it's stated by kilojoule. So this is uh, very interesting. And here we have the energy content in food, like how we measure the energy content in food. For example, in this nutrition fact label, you might be wondering like how we know that this food product, like per one serving size, there is 230 calories in this food product. How do they measure this? How do they know this? So they use this one. This is a meter. It's called the calorie meter or calorimetry, which is a process that determines the caloric content of food. And this is the device they use this. So this is an insulated environment or a space. They put food here and they burn it. And there is a water surrounding this container here in the middle. So the food is burned here in this section of the it's called chamber, reaction chamber. So the food is burned here and there is a water surrounding, and they measure the temperature of this water after burning the food. Because we said the caloric, like calorie or calorie is defined by the amount of heat which is required to increase or raise the temperature of 1 kilogram or 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So by measuring the temperature of this water before and after burning the food in here, they measure the caloric content of that specific food item. That's why they get to this number on the nutrition facts label. So this device, it's called like a bomb or chamber. It is a calorimetry device. Again, calorimetry is a process that determines the caloric content of food. And we mentioned like the energy inside of the energy balance equation comes from food and beverage consumption. So the food or beverage or whatever, they just put it here and then burn it. And so this is a direct calorimetry. So this device is a direct calorimetry, like a bomb meter. So this is a bomb calorimeter. And this is a direct calorimeter because we directly measure the caloric content of food. That's why it's called direct calorimeter or metry. We also have indirect calorimetry, and we will talk about that. Here in this table, we have the bomb calorimeter, and the unit is kilocalorie per gram of food or per or gram of these macronutrients and alcohol. And we have human calorie meter. So as you can see here, from burning 1 gram of carbohydrates, we get 4.2 kilocalorie, which is the same in human. So the bomb calorie meter shows 4.2 and the human shows the 4.2. The fats is the same 9.4 in bomb calorie meter as well as in the human calorie meter. It's 9.4. Proteins is different, and I will mention why it is different. And regarding the alcohol, 7 and 7 is the amount of energy coming from 1 gram of alcohol. So this 7 means 1 gram of burning alcohol in bomb calorimeter, or consuming 1 gram of alcohol gives 7 kilocalorie energy. And this 7 is under normal circumstances. However, when alcohol is a high percentage of total caloric intake, some of the energy is not available to the body. So in the high percentage of alcohol consumption, this amount is lower than 7. So the human calorie meter refers to the amount of energy a person can utilize from the food. So this is the human calorie meter. It's the uh, it's the amount of energy a person can get or can extract from the food. And the reason why this protein is different, it's because of the nitrogen. So when proteins are metabolized in the body or the human calorie meter, the full potential energy of the protein foods is not available. That's why it's 4.2 kilocalorie per gram, which is the same as carbohydrates, because nitrogen is not metabolized, but is excreted. Proteins are composed of amino acids, and amino acids contain nitrogen atoms. And our body cannot metabolize that nitrogen atoms. That's why the bomb calorimeter gives more energy from protein than human calorimeter. And as I said, when alcohol intake represents a large percentage of an individual's total caloric intake, because of the damaged mitochondria in liver cells, alcohol yields less than 7 kilocalorie per gram. And mitochondria is like small organelles inside cells, and these are the kind of a mm, energy plants inside the cells, and we get ATP. ATP is produced, except for the glycolysis process. The oxidative system, energy system happens and occurs inside the mitochondria. And for practical perspective, we like here in this table, for practical perspective, we usually say carbs and proteins yield 4 kilocalorie per gram and fats yield 9 kilocalorie per gram. So we kind of round them down to make it easy in our calculation. So here we have a review. Using BOM calorimeter values and human calorimeter values and rounded values, calculate the total kilocalories for a meal that contains 65-gram carbohydrates, 32-gram protein, and 24-gram fat. So here, for these are the macronutrients, carbs, protein, and fat. Regarding the BOM calorimeter, we know like 1 gram of carb yields 4.2. So 4.2 multiplied by 65. And regarding the protein, because it's BOM calorimeter, instead of 4.2, we should put 5.7 multiplied by 32 because we have 32 grams of protein. And fat is 24 grams multiplied by 9.4. And these are the same in human calorimeter, except for the protein, which is 4.2, just like carbs. And we add them up from BOM calorimeter. This meal, if we burn this meal inside the BOM calorimeter, we get 681 kilocalorie. But if this is a meal a person consumes, that person can get 633 kilocalorie. And if we rounded them for our, like for the practical perspective or for our convenience to use, we can get 604 kilocalorie. So this is very, very simple math. It's not hard. We also can so far we measure we learned about how to measure the energy or caloric content in food. We can also measure the energy expenditure or the amount of energy expended in human bodies. For for that, we should know like there are a variety of ways to measure the amount of energy expended, or when we say energy expended, we mean the energy out part of the energy balance equation. So there are several ways, just like measuring the caloric or energy content of food. We said we have direct and indirect. Regarding the energy expenditure, we also have direct calorimetry and indirect calorimetry. For the direct calorimetry, so remember, regarding the food, we said we have a BOM calorimetry and we burn the food. But for humans, we cannot burn human beings, right? We cannot burn humans to measure their energy expenditure. So for that reason, they created a similar system, just like BOM calorimetry. So there is an insulated and isolated room, and the person goes in there and spends like 24 hours there. They do every like very routine activities, and they measure the fluctuations in the room temperature, and they measure the energy expenditure by that person. but those are very expensive and very, very limited high research facilities have those kind of rooms and technology to measure the energy expenditure directly. So most of the time we use indirect calorimetry, which is based on the like when we say indirect calorimetry, we mean resting metabolic rate. And the resting metabolic rate, it's based on the amount of oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide consumption or carbon dioxide production. So indirect calorimetry, it's based on oxygen and carbon dioxide. And they are measuring the resting metabolic rate. So here in the direct calorimetry, as I said, this is a bomb calorimetry, which like burns food inside this chamber here. We cannot put a human here and burn them. So for that reason, we have a different system for humans. And here, when we say direct calorimetry in humans, like as the body utilizes the potential energy contained in food, a large portion of that energy is converted to heat energy. The amount of heat is proportional to the amount of energy expended. And the heat energy can be measured as a change in temperature. Just like the measuring caloric content in food, we can measure the change in temperature of the room. And so we have room calorimetry for humans to directly measure the energy expenditure. And today it's used for research purposes only. It's very expensive and not practical. So, for example, if I wanna measure the energy expenditure by some participants to do some research, I cannot afford room calorimetry, right? It's very expensive and it's not practical. The participants have to spend 24 hours inside the room, inside the chamber, and we measure the amount of heat, which is proportional to the amount of energy expenditure by measuring the change in temperature. So it's very simple. The concept is very simple, but practically it's not feasible. So here this is an example of direct calorimetry, or this is a room calorimetry. It's like a chamber, and this guy is doing like a routine activities in this room. There's TV, there's bathroom, and like cycling and those kind of stuff. And as this person lives in this room for 24 hours, they measure the temperature, the change in temperature in this room, because this room is very isolated and is insulated. So the change in temperature is proportional to the amount of energy this guy is expended, or this guy expands um, for the 24-hour time period. And we have indirect calorimetry, just like food, as I said. This is the determination of energy expenditure by gas exchange, oxygen consumption, and carbon dioxide production in aerobic metabolism. So it is based on oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide production. This is called indirect calorimetry. And energy expenditure is expressed as kilocalorie or kilojoule, and 1 liter of oxygen. Uh, like when we say this person consumes 1 liter of oxygen, it's approximately equal to 5 kilocalories. And here are the examples of indirect calorimetry, which is based on the amount of oxygen consumption or carbon dioxide production. We have Med, MedGem here on the right side, like measuring the gas exchange. And on the left side, here also we have a device here, this one, and there is a hose coming to the nose or a mouth of this person here. And this device over here measures the gas exchange, the amount of oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide production. The amount of oxygen consumption or carbon dioxide production, it's also proportional to amount of energy expended. And this is an open circuit metabolic measurement system. And we have portable system, which is here on the right side. This is a portable system. But this is a metabolic card. This is called metabolic card uh, for measuring resting metabolic rate. A metabolic measurement system determines energy expenditure indirectly by measuring the amount of oxygen consumed and the amount of carbon dioxide produced during different activities. Oxygen consumption in milliliter per kilogram of body weight per minute or a liter per minute, these are the units for oxygen consumption, is converted to energy expenditure in kilocalories using conversion factors. It's based on the respiratory exchange ratio. We will talk about that later, like what's the respiratory exchange ratio. And 1 liter of, as I said, 1 liter of oxygen consumed equals to 5 kilocalorie of energy expended. And the measurements of energy expenditure during exercise are commonly expressed as total oxygen consumption without subtracting the individual's resting oxygen consumption. And this is very important to mention. This is another example of measurement of resting metabolic rate with indirect calorimetry. Again, this is a hose coming to this device here, and this device measures the gas exchange. Um, this is a metabolic measurement system. It measures the resting oxygen consumption because this guy over here is at rest. It determines resting metabolic rate or RMR. And the RMR is the amount of energy per unit time required by the body to maintain a non-active but alert state. So this guy is alert, but it's non-active, it's at rest. So the energy here, like the what energy shows up here, it's the resting metabolic rate. And it's measured in supine position. This is the position the guy has over here on this picture. So for the resting energy expenditure, as I said, we use indirect calorimetry. It's 30 minutes under canopy. So this is a canopy and this is the hose coming to this device. So it is like 30 minutes under canopy, measuring indirectly energy expenditure. And here is the guidelines for obtaining accurate measures of resting metabolic rate. This is from your textbook. So to obtain the most accurate measure of RMR or resting metabolic rate in healthy adults, before beginning an indirect calorimetry procedure, the subject or the participant should fast at least 5 hours after a meal or snack. Abstain from alcohol and nicotine for at least 2 hours. Abstain from caffeine for at least 4 hours. The participant should abstain from vigorous resistance exercise for at least 14 hours, and they also should abstain from moderate aerobic or anaerobic exercise for at least 2 hours. This is another measurement. This is another system. It's called a doubly labeled water. This is a measurement technique for determining energy expenditure over a long time period using radioactively labeled hydrogen and oxygen. It usually measures the energy expenditure between 1 to 3 weeks. It has a good validity and reliability. It uses the known pathways for the elimination of hydrogen, oxygen from the body. And these are the known pathways for the elimination of hydrogen and oxygen as form of water in urine, sweating, respiratory water vapor, and other avenues, and the oxygen as carbon dioxide. So this is another measurement, another system or another technique to measure energy expenditure, but it is over a long time period, like 1 to 3 weeks. And here it's this is important point. It has good validity and reliability compared to other methods like the indirect calorimetry. Let's answer this question together. You can pause the video and answer on your own and then resume watching the rest of the video. Which one of the options are part of the guidelines for accurately measuring resting metabolic rate? A, fast at least 8 hours after a meal or snack. Abstain from alcohol, nicotine, and caffeine for at least 5 hours. Abstain from vigorous activity for at least 14 hours. Have a sufficient amount of sleep 8 hours before the measurement. Yes, that's correct. C, abstain from vigorous activity for at least 14 hours. That's the correct answer. We will talk about the energy balance next.